what we saw with earlier color revolutions is that they didn't all really take. Georgia's Orange Revolution turned out to be kind of a lemon. I'm saying that I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was the Rose Revolution. I'm sorry. God, I just messed this up. The Rose Revolution has wilted. The Orange Revolution is a lemon. And that tulip revolution, the tulip is dead in Kyrgyzstan. It's just, and that's the trouble, is that, will it actually take? Now, it might not, but that doesn't mean that the potential isn't there. And I think that what we're seeing, as we saw, I would argue, with the Cedar Revolution in Lebanon in 2005, is that although it didn't succeed fully, what it shows is that the Arab world is not different from the rest of the world. In other words, that what you have is a strong demand for democratic change, and that, if I were the Islamists, I would be very worried, because in fact, can they bring out crowds into the street the way that these democratic revolutionaries have done? That like the Marxists, or the Arab nationalists, the radical Islamists, their revolutions are really more coups for the most part, and that they depend on sort of a few people being in the right place at the right time. Whereas these democratic revolutions, these are mass efforts that governments can't control, and the radical Islamists can't control either. In other words, that what we're seeing is that they have competition. Now, what I think is that this is good. What I worry is that that the U.S. government is going to discriminate. That we like democratic revolutionary movements against regimes that we're at odds with, such as Iran. We're not so sure we would welcome them in regimes we're allied to, such as Egypt, perhaps. And I noticed that in today's, there was commentary that, Tunisia seems to have had one reverberation already. There was a peaceful demonstration of some 200 young people in Oman. Very, very interesting. In other words, that people are, as we've seen in other countries, that once it happens somewhere, that this reverberates elsewhere. So I think that the phenomenon is highly, highly important. I haven't answered all of his questions, but what was that last one?
What do you expect radical Islamists to do now to regain momentum?
I think that radical Islamists and authoritarian regimes have a similar goal: get rid of the democratic opposition, and that between the two of them, in some instances, they might succeed. That's what I think.
Hi, I'm Rob Gannon, and I'm just here on my own. What happens to Pakistan after we leave Afghanistan?
That's a good question. I think Pakistan is a very special case. Here's a country with a population larger than that of Russia, and of course with nuclear weapons. That this is a different order of magnitude than almost any other country in the Muslim world. And what we've seen, of course, is that Pakistan has been supportive of the Taliban, as it has with Lashkar-e-Taiba, other groups in Kashmir. That Pakistan focuses on India. In other words, we're worried about Al-Qaeda, maybe the Taliban. They're worried about India. And that the Pakistani security services have long ago decided that supporting these groups somehow advances their interests vis-a-vis India. Now, I think that under those circumstances, what we're going to see is, Pakistan continues to support such groups. And in the article that was posted this week on our website, my reaction is that Pakistan may be a country that we now have to contain. In other words, and that we've been dependent on Pakistan for supply routes to Afghanistan. In other words, they've kind of had leverage over us. What I think is interesting is that as we decrease our presence in Afghanistan, Pakistani leverage over the U.S. decreases, and that, in fact, there are, in other words, if Pakistan insists on supporting the Taliban, there are others that we can work with even without a troop presence in Afghanistan. India, Russia, the northerners in Afghanistan, to try to contain Pakistani-backed Taliban influence, and I think that's what it's. That may. I don't have to hear anyone sort of talking about this, but I think that's going to be the policy that sort of, imposes itself on us in the future if Pakistan continues to do what it's doing.
Hi, Walter Howell, Harvard University. I'm wondering what, in your argument in the future of Islamic radicalism, where you see the movement of political Islam and sort of the inclusion of some of these groups in the political group, whether this could moderate some of them or how it plays in your argument.
This is a very interesting question, and again, I would turn back to the history of Marxism, and not simply Marxism during the Cold War, but if we go back and look at Marxism as a movement that began in the mid-19th century, and that even before the Russian Revolution, we saw a fracturing among the Marxists, among those who, were oriented toward taking power through democratic means, and democracy was a tool that socialists could make use of, and those who insisted upon, no, you can't deal with these people. The system must be overthrown. And I think that essentially, what we're seeing, obviously, in the Muslim world, we have all kinds of different movements, from the one extreme of Al-Qaeda, which sort of like the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, has a global vision, a global agenda, an internationalist vision, transnational vision, if you will. Whereas so many of the other movements are region-specific. In other words, Hamas is concerned about Palestine. Hezbollah is concerned about Lebanon. That's what they focus on. And presumably, if you can satisfy these groups with regard to their particular country, well, they're not so interested in, Chechnya or Kashmir or anything like this. And then also I think that the fact that Hamas participated in elections, what this shows is that Hamas, values popular support. In other words, that it's something that Hamas doesn't want to lose, presumably. And so this, I think, makes a difference. So that they're not willing to go along with Al-Qaeda's, completely rejectionist line on this matter. And so I think that where there are opportunities for Islamic parties, that they may take them. And even if they are, rhetorically, ideologically revolutionary, remember, with the socialists in the late 19th century, early to mid 20th century, is that their rhetoric remained revolutionary, but the practice became reformist. And what I suspect is that we may see something like this, and that we shouldn't be too upset necessarily if their rhetoric remains revolutionary. In other words, what is it they actually do? That's what we should focus on, it seems to me.
Another question relating to Islamism and secularism and democracies.